Welcome to Build Better Teams, the podcast for leaders who want to improve collaboration, strengthen communication, and create real alignment inside their teams. Here we explore team building strategies, leadership development, and hands-on approaches like Lego Serious Play that help teams think, build, and solve problems together. Let's get started so you can lead more effective, aligned, and engaged organizations. Welcome back to the Build Better Teams podcast. I am your host, Shannon Russell. On this episode, we are going to talk about why most team building ideas fail and what actually works. How many times have you planned, attended, or sat through a team building activity and thought, okay, what is the point of this? Maybe it's a fun day, maybe people laughed, maybe you were given a free lunch, but a week later, nothing changed. The communication issues are still there. There are still silos between teams, between departments, and maybe challenges continue to show up even in the next meeting. I have been there. I'm sure you have been there. Sometimes you just wonder, what is the point? Is it checking the box? Is it a company or team leader saying, okay, we're doing a team building event, we're getting people together, and they're checking the box on that when really the people who are actually attending the event or the workshop feel like they are taking nothing away? Why put all of this effort into an event where there isn't going to be any action taken after? Let's get into why some team building events fall flat, while others actually bring about real results. Think back to a meeting, a workshop, a team building event, an offsite that you have attended, maybe in your current role or roles before. But think about a time that you've gone, you were excited to maybe see other coworkers. There was someone there to either give a keynote or lead an activity. Maybe you can think about one that was really powerful, that stayed with you, and now think of one that really fell flat. Now, what was the difference between those two? I can think back to events that I've been to. I can think of one right now that when I left my corporate job many years ago in the entertainment industry, and I was trying to find just a way to bring some income in while I was figuring out my second act. And what I did was get a role as a project manager at a local marketing agency in my community. And I remember the owner telling us that we were going to a hot yoga workshop. Everyone looked at each other with this dread of, okay, well, what does this have to do with what we were working on? What does this have to do with our clients? We went feeling humiliated, putting on workout clothes and going to a hot yoga studio, being forced amongst our peers to do yoga. It was literally like, hey, here's a class and you can all come and join at the same time. There was no talk of team building. There was nothing. And I remember thinking, what a waste of time. What a waste of work hours. What a waste of energy. And for me, that's an example of a total fail. Yet I have been to other events where you are given something really cool that you can work on together that's really out of the box. And you're forced to communicate with those people at your table. You're forced to really collaborate, reflect on the work that you do, the goals of the company, the values, and make something together. And you walk away and you say, okay, that was different. And that was something really interesting. There are other workshops or events where you go and someone speaks to you. Maybe it's a keynote, maybe it's a motivational speaker. A lot of times with those events, you are sitting. You are very passively being an observer of what is happening, and someone is presenting to you on stage. It goes in one ear and out the other, and you're finding yourself back in your office or back in the lunchroom talking with your coworkers, and you're saying, that was fine, but what am I going to take out of that? Many times, an organization is trying to check the box. It's something that is in the budget. It gets planned once a year. It sits under the employee engagement category. And often it looks like something fun and light and easy to organize. There's nothing wrong with fun, but fun alone doesn't build better teams. Let's break down where things can go wrong when you are planning an employee engagement activity, a workshop, or a leadership retreat. Mistake number one is that there is no clear objective. If you ask, what is the team building meant to accomplish? And the answer is just to get everyone together. It'll be fun. That's a red flag. And that's a red flag because strong teams are built with intention. And if you're getting people away from their desks, away from their computers, away from clients or partners or customers, then you want to do that really intentionally. You want to make sure that you can answer certain questions, such as, are you trying to improve communication? Are you trying to build trust through this workshop or these activities? Are you trying to get your team or your leaders aligned on strategy that will move the company forward over the next year? Are you trying to solve a specific challenge within the organization? Without clarity about what the outcome should be or what the expectation is for this team building, the activity has nowhere to land. You want to know that as the person organizing it, and you also want to know that as the employee or the attendee who is going to it. Okay, I'm here to do XYZ. What am I getting out of this? What should I be looking for during this event so that I can take this in and bring it back into my role in the day-to-day? Mistake number two is that certain team building workshops are disconnected from real work. This is really a big one. If your team building or your event has nothing to do with the actual challenges your team is facing on their day-to-day, it might be enjoyable in the moment for them to attend this, but it won't translate back into their actual work. And that's why nothing ever changes. It's so important to be strategic in what you are planning and how it ties back to the changes or the fostering of communication or goals or values that you are trying to make sure that are instilled within your team members. Next is mistake number three, and that is that only some people are engaged. You know what this looks like. A few dominant forces participate. They speak, they share their ideas, and then a few people hang back and they're quiet and they're simply observing. Some are fully invested and others are just mentally checked out. And I'm sure you have seen this in your weekly team meetings, your monthly get togethers. But when you are creating an event like this, when you're creating something that is supposed to bring everyone together, that's just it. You want everyone participating equally. You're not actually building a stronger team if the same voices are heard and the same people are sitting back. And when you're creating an activity, it's important to think of something that can have everyone on an even playing field so that they can truly participate, get to know each other, and feel that their voice is heard. Mistake number four, there is no follow through. Even if you have a great session, an amazing activity, everyone's abuzz talking about it, if there is no takeaway or no action or no homework after or no follow-up step, that buzz fades. It just goes away and it fades fast. And then it becomes just another, that was a nice experience. If you want a little something more, something that is actually going to be memorable and bring about change in your team or organization, then a that was nice experience is not going to cut it. So now, what actually does work? Let's talk about the flip side. Because when team building is done right, it can completely shift how a team communicates and collaborates moving forward. And that is ideally what you want. You want to see that action and that growth within your team. First, it starts with a clear purpose. Before anything is planned, there needs to be a defined outcome. And this can really change during each event you plan throughout the year or from year to year. So what needs to be different after this session? I am a certified LEGO Serious Play facilitator. I work with teams using LEGO Serious Play as my main methodology. When I am hired by a client, I work with the team leader, with the HR rep, with the event planner to organize what that main goal is. That outcome is the number one focus that I use when planning the event. In the past, I have been brought in to help solve issues within the company. One example is this larger company that had employees and teams throughout various countries. They were trying to downsize and bring team members from one country to an office in another. There was concern amongst employees about what that was going to look like. Was their role going to be eliminated? How is it going to work when you're bringing in brand new people from another country who have never worked with this team? That was a concern amongst the executives and the leaders in this organization that hired me. So when we planned the Lego Serious Play activity, it was all about how are you feeling right now in your role? What do you think your role will look like when this merger occurs? When these new people come over, how do you see yourself fitting in? After prompting this group on these questions, they had to now build how they were feeling using Lego bricks. And then after they built, they had to present. What I love about Lego Serious Play is that it's 100% participation and everyone is building, everyone is getting their voice heard, everyone has an opportunity to speak and get feedback. Through these activities that we did during this particular workshop, the executives were able to see the true fears that these employees were having. And while figuring that out, they were able to then make a course of action on how they can alleviate some of those fears and apprehensions. Now, that is just one example of how you can define the outcome before you plan your events. You decide early on what needs to be different after this session, not during it, but after it. And that one shift will change how everything is planned. Next, it needs to be tied to the real challenges that the attendees are facing. The most effective team experiences are grounded in what the team is dealing with day to day. Not general scenarios, but real conversations, real problems, real opportunities to fix what might not be working or to bring people together in a way that needs some help and alignment. So, what you should be doing at this team building event is really tying in real challenges. And next, everyone needs to have a voice. This is where it's different than sitting in a room listening to someone speak at you. I am a big proponent of getting your hands dirty. Feel that little bit of uncomfortableness and then diving in with your coworkers, with your fellow executives and leaders. And this, my friend, is where most traditional formats fall short. Because in a typical meeting or a workshop, the same voices tend to lead. But when you create a structure where everyone can contribute, this is where you unlock insights that would have otherwise stayed hidden by those voices who would not raise their hand, who would not share their ideas. You can learn more and grow your company and build a better team by having everyone feel like their voice is heard and everyone is collaborating. Fourth is that what you are creating for this event needs to be hands-on and engaging. People don't think best when they're listening passively. They think better when they're actively involved, when they're laughing and talking with others, and when they're doing something that's different, building something, creating something. That's where the ideas really flow. And that is where connections happen. And this is why I use Lego Serious Play in my work, because it solves for all of this. It gives every person a voice, it makes everything visible, it connects directly to real business challenges, and it leads to clear, actionable outcomes. It's not about playing, it's about thinking differently. And when teams think differently, they operate differently. Especially today in this AI-driven, technology-powered world that we're living in, it is important to go back to basics, to go back to analog thinking. When you can use your brain, use your imagination, use your creativity, and use your hands to actually demonstrate what you're thinking through creating something that someone else can see visually. It's not relying on tech. It's not relying on AI to do all of the brainstorming. We're using our brains and our mouths to communicate these ideas. It's really incredible. I've seen teams walk into a session feeling stuck, rolling their eyes at the idea of building with Lego bricks, and feeling very disconnected. But they walk out with a shared understanding and a plan that they actually feel excited about. And it's an activity where they're going to remember it. Oftentimes, I will leave each member, whether it's 5 people or 100 people, with a little Lego model that they can put on their desks and it helps them remember what they did. And that's something that they can actually use as motivation and a reminder every day to think about how to move the business or the organization forward. Ideally, you want your team to feel excited about what they're participating in at the event and then take that back in to their work the next day. And not because someone told them what to do, but because they built it together. Now, if you are planning your next team building session, your leadership retreat, an offsite of some kind, don't just ask, what would be fun? Ask yourself, what needs to change? Because that's where real impact happens and real teams are built. If you are responsible for leading a team, planning a retreat, or creating better collaboration inside your organization, you're in the right place. Visit buildbetterteamsconsulting.com or grab the link in the notes below to book a strategy call with me so that I can help you plan your next team building event. And if this episode resonated with you, make sure you follow the show so you don't miss what's coming up next. Because strong teams don't happen by accident, they are designed. Thank you for listening to this episode of Build Better Teams. I am your host, Shannon Russell, and I will chat with you on the next episode of the Build Better Teams podcast.